Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Man, I hope everybody is having a blessed day on this Shabbat. Getting some good rest, getting the word. We got a great, message from Shepherd Dow. Was filled with not only a good word, a good spiritual word, but also some laughter in the end by some testimonies. You know, Today I'm gonna be talking about the collateral consequences of lawlessness because it's all too common that people, in ignorance, not having understanding, think that just because you start on a spiritual journey, as you hear a lot of people in the world talk about nowadays, as you start your walk with the Most High Yah, or whatever, the carnally say is their spiritual journey, they forget that your choices in life shape your environment. And this is a message for, not only, those that are in the world and those that are on their walk can give a testament to what I'm talking about. But most importantly, this is for the youth. This is for Yashriel, because, biblically you see that Israel had the lost sheep. And then the Messiah said he came, you know, for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And it's very important because there's a lot of snares out there in the last days. Hasatan is going to try to tempt you to do a lot of stuff, to be more lawless than anything, because if he can get you to be lawless, he can get you to go against the will of the Most High. So this is why this message isn't important. If you didn't catch the Blog Talk Radio last night, or the Sabbath teaching that started at 11, hey, go make sure you check that out on Shepherd Dow, Shepherd Dow's channel, or Straightway Live. Okay. Collateral consequences of lawlessness, very important. Okay. Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy Yah. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth and the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the Sabbath day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. When you actually stand for doing what the word says, you will realize that a lot of people simply don't have understanding. They may be going to church, they may be in these religions, but we see that they're not being taught to be a doer of the word. Crazy testimony is, I had somebody this week, and if you've grown up in religion, you don't understand the true meaning of religion, especially from a etymology standpoint, and the word religion meaning worship. We are conditioned in this way of life to think religion is one of these categories that you have to choose or not choose, instead of, when you look at the etymology of the word and somebody says, okay, you keep the Sabbath, what religion are you? That's basically the same as saying, what worship are you? All of these different people have man-made worthless religion. They're using the same book, but ain't nobody doing it. And I had a lady come, pretty much want some service, getting her, pet boarded, and said, "What? I see you're closed on the Sabbath. What religion are you?" I said, when thinking in my head, I'm thinking, when you read Exodus chapter 20, Exodus chapter 34, when you read about Messiah, it was his custom to keep the Sabbath. You don't read about that pertaining to a particular religion. That pertains to the commandment keepers. And you start to realize the majority of people that says that they love God, they don't even know who they truly serve. And they dang sure ain't keeping the commandments. Okay. When you think about the collateral consequences of lawlessness, let me give you a very minuscule example. Very rarely does a child get hurt if they are following the instruction of their mother or father. You generally get in trouble when you're doing something you know you have no business doing. You know, I've never as a young boy got myself scraped up, busted up, becoming bleeding if I was doing what my parents told me to do. In my case, my grandparents. You know, the first time, when I had my bike, I learned how to ride a bike. They give you a helmet, they give you some elbow pads, they give you some knee pads. Man, I remember going to ask my grandmother, at being probably about five, three, maybe about 4 or 5, can I go ride my bike in front of the house? Grandma gives me the instruction, you know, make sure you put on your helmet and your elbow and knee pads. Okay. I go out there, put on my helmet, say I'm good. My head is covered, I'm good. Don't put on no elbow and knee pads. And here I am, forced to face the collateral consequences of my lawlessness. Life is the same way. If I would have broken a bone, I may have had to deal with some abnormalities, post growing up in my youth if stuff wouldn't have healed back properly, you know, and no child, when given guidance from the parents, your parents tell you, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, and you go against it. Now you're coming home as a teenager and you're saying, I need to tell y'all something. I got somebody pregnant or I'm pregnant. Think about this. You don't get hurt if you following what you know you should be doing. And oftentimes people get confused and lack understanding. Just because you're born again don't mean you're going to have to not deal with the collateral consequences of lawlessness, okay? There's spiritual and then there's physical. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1-3. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise that it may be well with thee and thou may livest long on the earth. Think about that. The Most High Yah told you to maintain the earth. He told you to keep his commandments. Abba Yah, Father Yah told you to keep his commandments. So when you violate the earth and don't keep his commandments, guess what? Your days is not going to be long on this earth. Isaiah chapter 53, verse 5-6. But he was pierced for our transgression. He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace. And with his wounds we are healed. And we like sheep have gone astray and have turned everyone to his own way. And the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. So you got to think about it. He bared, our iniquity. Even when a new child is born, he's bearing that. Sacrifice covers that. But it is our lawlessness that, pretty much shape the environment, like you're going to hear me say throughout this teaching, and I've said time and time before, you're going to have to deal with. And it's that understanding of righteousness that helps you navigate through dealing with some of these collateral consequences. And today, I want you to realize, man, do not waste the opportunity you have. In this last days, the scheme of Hasatan is going to be turned up. He's trying to capture the hearts and minds of even more people. And even the remnant, those that are walking in truth, he's going to turn up his schemes to try to get you to fall away. Job chapter 11, verse 13-20. If you prepare your heart, you will stretch out your hands toward him. If iniquity is in your hand, put it far away, and let not injustice dwell in your tents. Surely then you will lift up your face without blemish. You will be secure and will not. You will forget your misery and remember it as waters that have passed away. And your life will be brighter than noonday. Its darkness will be like the morning, and you will feel secure because there is hope. You will look around and take your rest in security. You will lie down and none will make you afraid. Many will court your favor, but the eyes of the wicked will fail. all way of escape will be lost on them, and their hope is to breath their last. I want you to understand, there is a physical reality and a spiritual reality. Okay. Spiritual existence is a deep personal journey that leads us to greater spiritual fulfillment, higher levels of holiness, higher levels of righteousness. Okay. And if you are faithful in your walk, you will be increased as you continue on this path. That journey does not negate the fact that the choices that you made, you may still have to live with. Like, you realize, I posted a video on this channel of the testimonies of people of catching HIV and AIDS, and that's their coming to Messiah moment. And you realize, the Messiah has pretty much forgiven them for their sins, and in a way, your choices and the collateral consequences you face now sit you down somewhere. Now they have humbled you to the point where you're no longer able to rip and run the streets like because there's physical and legal consequences. If you go out here and do this stuff, if you had HIV, but when you didn't know it, you was running around doing X, Y, and Z. And the physical reality is you cannot do that. Why? Because you will infect other people. Why? Because that is a felony in some states to pretty much pass this stuff on, and you have it. So you can be born again and still be dealing with the physical reality of your choices. And some of them, there is simply no healing from, because your choices brought life into this world. John chapter 14, verse 16, Yeshua said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but through me, but by me. I'm telling you, this world is going to try to give you, 32 flavors, give you all these different options, all these different choices. But the book is only going to give you one way to get deliverance, to get understanding, to get filled with his Ruach HaKodesh. There ain't all these alternatives. And I hope, for the sake of those that haven't found it, you find it. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn to their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. You realize that a lot of people, it's not until they are behind bars that they have their what they call a coming to Messiah moment, coming to Jesus moment, seeking Yeshua. And then they gravitate towards these different religions. And then when you get out, I'm gonna use that as an example today. Say, for instance, you make a choice and you become a convicted felon. I'm gonna talk about the collateral consequences to that especially our youth does not understand. And once you face them collateral consequences, you think somebody's out to get you, but you're just living through the physical reality of your choices. You can be born again and walking towards a righteous life while still being forced to face the consequences of your physical choices that are possibly in violation to Torah. Okay, let's think about this. I'm gonna give you an example. You choose to go out here. Let's say, for instance, some of these people, you grew up in Western culture, and you say, well, I grew up in church. Okay, you go out here and choose to fornicate, make a choice to fornicate. So as a man, you may go down here and get all these different women pregnant and not fulfilled with them. And then 10 years later, fast forward, you get filled with the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, and you're born again. The Most High Yah renews your mind, but yet you're going to have to deal with the physical reality of the choices that you decided to make. You may be forced to deal with a co-parent that's not spiritually awoken, that hasn't been deliverance, that's not walking in truth. you're going to have to deal with that because your choices shaped your environment. It's the same thing. You know, you can be on this spiritual journey, you're awakening. That's the spiritual reality. But the physical reality is if you sit up and defile yourself at an early age as a woman and have all these different babies and get with these and not exercise discernment, you gonna have to deal with that. And that is some painful stuff that you're gonna have to deal with. Just like them scenarios that I talked about with HIV and AIDS. You can't escape that. You know, you are forced to deal with that. And like I said, I posted that video that those people giving them testimonies of how they came into the faith. Example, aggressive reckless driving and excessive speeding is a felony in these states. Florida, California, Virginia. There's multiple states. So aggressive reckless driving. So give you an example. You have the urge, listen to some of this stuff. A lot of these younger generations, they know on the headlines of what the law is passed, marijuana is legalized, okay? But they don't go back and do the research to find out, okay, what are the left and right limits of this? So here you are at a traffic stop and you got a gram worth of marijuana and they pull you over and then you feel like, man, I'm about to catch a charge. What do? You try to evade the police. Now you didn't call an aggressive, reckless driving charge. That's a felony in some states. When if you actually knew your left and right limits, I'm just using this as an example, you should have just took your citation and went on, or possibly wasn't gonna get no citation at all. This is how naive and ignorant our younger generation is, and you'd be surprised. I didn't realize it when I was on recruiting assignment in the Army. I used to have to run background checks, and I'm talking about 18, 19-year-old people with felonies, convicted felons. And they would be so eager, and they wouldn't get the opportunity. And you would say, man, you got somebody willing, hey, let them do it. But no, it's the collateral consequences of your choices. Okay. Physical reality, the physical world, or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposite to an idealistic or notional idea of them. This is why people find the Most High or gravitate towards religion while incarcerated. When you think about that, sometimes it takes for you to hit absolutely rock bottom for you to seek the Most High Yah's face. And I'll tell you, and that's a true testament in my walk, because man, I got spared early on and didn't even realize how much mercy and favor was being shown towards me. And then once, I got my break, man, I turned and went back to the world, but I just didn't return to that form of lawlessness. And I still had to deal with some of them choices that I've made in my life. You can't escape them. For me, it was, bootlegging. Before I joined the military, man, I was bootlegging. I was selling shoes, DVDs, X-rated movies, all of that. And when I'm telling you, when they pulled me over and told me that they had been building a case on me and told me this was federal charges, woo, man, that's a rock bottom moment. I'm like, man, I'm 17, 18. I'm like, man, my life ain't even started yet. Hadn't even started. And it took a good 13, 14 years for me to even realize, man, how blessed and fortunate, how much mercy had been shown on me. So when the judge says, you know what, I'm gonna give you an option. Either you enroll yourself in college and do something productive, or you bring me back an enlistment. She didn't say you had to join the military. She said, you bring me back a contract showing that they've taken you. I'll make this go away. I didn't even know what opportunity the judge had pretty much given me. Didn't have no idea, because there was probably about, if I can recall, probably about three to four felony accounts, because when you do that kind of stuff, and you have merchandise that's been traveled across straight state lines, man, that's federal. Piracy when it comes to movies and music, man, that's federal. So I'm looking at it, not even realizing these jokers that's coming before me is getting these years. Some of them, very criminal, far as like murder and things like that. But at the end of the day, they handing out time left and right, left and right. And here I am. We always had these moments to where we say, if you spare me this one time, I ain't gonna do it again. And fast forward, man, I was making the allure of money was so good that 5 years later, when I was in the military doing good, my mindset really wasn't focused on my career. I still had that hustle in the street mentality. And I remember, gravitating back to that lifestyle. And then somebody else that I knew that was doing the same thing got pinched. And I said, man, I got to get out of this. I done already been spared once, man. I done already been spared once. I had a career going, had a good job working in communications, wasn't out there having to do nothing crazy. And here I am gravitating towards it. And here's the thing. If you turn back from something that you've already been spared and mercy has been shown on you, you feel like a complete dumbass. Excuse my French. You feel like a complete idiot knowing that you've been spared. Fast forward that to other times in my life. You be praying. You haven't saw his face no other time. But when you hit this rock bottom moment and you're gonna have to deal with some consequences, if you spare me, I won't do it again. He spare you, and what you doing? Doing it again. This is why people find the Most High Yah or gravitate towards religion or what you have been told, when you hit these rock bottom moments. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 15, the rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. You got to think about in your choices, the people that have tried to do the best that they can and bring you up around some type of structure and discipline and to discipline you with the rod and give reproof. But when they leave you to yourself, that's when you get into some trouble. That's when you get into some trouble. It's just something that, okay, my parents ain't home. Let me snoop around and see what I can get into. If you would have done what you were supposed to do, you wouldn't have had to face them collateral consequences. Man, I remember being probably about 9 years old, and my grandfather was a mechanic. Okay. And I remember seeing a bullet or a box of bullets in the doggone upper drawer of my grandfather's toolbox. And my grandfather always said, don't touch this, don't mess with this, don't go in my top drawer. By him telling me that, just the rebellious spirit wanted to go in there. So I remember one day, my grandma was in the house, my granddad was at work, and I said, man, I'm gonna go in that top drawer. Okay. The collateral consequences led to I grabbed one of those bullets out. I'm like, I didn't seen this before. And I grabbed a ball peen hammer. A ball peen hammer had a little round ball on one end, a flat head on the other hand, and I laid it on the concrete. And I said, "Man, I'm gonna see if this thing real." Man, took that ball peen hammer, made sure the bullet was faced away, struck it. Pow! Thing goes off. Grandma come outside. What the heck happened? And all of a sudden, the answer. I don't know. I get in the house. My grandma tells me to get my butt in the house. I come in there and take my shoes off, and I notice a patch of blood or a spot of blood on my shoe. Take my shoes off, take my socks off, and see more blood on my sock. But what happened was the blast was so close to my foot, it cut through it pretty much penetrated the fabric and pretty much tore skin. I'm up in here 9, 10 years old thinking I done been shot, but I was spared. Definitely was spared because I could have easily have had that round facing towards me. Think about it. If you go against the will of your mother and your father, your days on earth will not be long. The Most High Yah is dealing with you, on so many occasions and sparing you and is merciful. But we take this stuff for granted. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. Do not be deceived. In this day, time, and hour, in these last days, man, it is the bad company. If you was by yourself, you would never concoct any of this stuff. Come up with doing some of this wicked stuff. It's the company you entertain. If you around people that's sexually immoral, fornicators, don't keep their word, X, Y, and Z, criminals, petty theft, it don't matter. Eventually, that stuff is gonna rub off on you. You don't know how many young men and women have been deceived into saying, hey, we gonna go do something. We just need you to drive the car. And then when y'all get pinched, you say, well, I wasn't in there. I didn't have no gun. I was just driving the car. Felony. You was an accomplice to it. And then guess what? You was the driver. All them firearms in the car come back on you. Maybe except one, a murder weapon. Bad company ruins good morals. Hasatan is looking for somebody naive to do his work. And based upon that, think about if you and when you think about this, you got people robbing, they don't rob busy gas station. They rob gas station that ain't that busy. 4 people doing a robbery at one gas station come up out of there with $130 some, and you done jacked up your life. You can get born again when you go to jail, but guess what? When you come out, the physical reality is your record gonna follow you. It's very important. It's the same thing, like I said, as a man. You could be born again, know what you should be looking for in a woman, but if you've laid down and had all these baby by harlots, now you gonna have, that's the physical reality. You're gonna have to deal with this. It's the same thing. You may want a good Yah-fearing man, but if you didn't lay down and had 3-4 babies by multiple drug dealers or dope dealers or killers, you're gonna have to deal with that. That's the physical reality. Your choices shape the environment that you got to live in. You see what I'm saying? If you damage your body, if you make a choice, when you younger, you can't do some of this stuff that when you're older, you can't do some of this stuff that you got away when you was younger. You decide to do all these drugs, and now it's like the younger generation in the last days, people is being taken out a lot quicker. See, and back in my day, I should have been doing something more constructive, but I had bad company trying to introduce me to marijuana. Smoke this, it'll make you feel good, man. All your problems are going. At that age, I ain't even have no problems really. Smoking this stuff that been smuggled in somebody's butt and been sweated all over, all of this stuff. And then when you think about it, nowadays they putting fentanyl in this stuff. You would think, why would they put this drug that's deadly in something that normally you could get a good high off, and then you might eat up all the snacks in your house? But you have to understand, a drug addict chases the high. Your kids may not get that opportunity. Man, what if your child gets out there and smokes some of this stuff, get fentanyl, and they don't die? But what if they experience some sort of brain damage, some type of organ damage? Man, you're gonna have to live with that. You're gonna have to live with that. And then there are instances where the Most High Yah, you can, in your walk, if you have faith, you can be healed and delivered out of this. But when you see the carnal people, man, they living through all of that. They living through all of the collateral consequences of their choices. Nobody's void of that. The Most High Yah is not a respecter of persons. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24. A man of Many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So you got all these people. I want you to think about what's the guy's man, what's his name? Young Thug. Look at how they put look at how they put that RICO case together. Over 28 people convicted, indicted on the RICO case. Look at that snare that was set. You had an opportunity to get out here and change your way. You've been spared. You grew up in this life. You grew up in Babylon and had a way out, but you continued on the same path. You have people that are involved that grow up in two-family homes, nice neighborhood, gated communities, and then you know what? They want to be thugs, and they don't get spared. There's been a lot of young brothers that lost their life behind trying to be something that they was not. And then if you realize the pain and the collateral consequences that come with living like that, you wouldn't even be chasing after it. But because there's an agenda to push this on Yashriel, this lawlessness, this worshiping material things to worship mammon, people chase it. And you think about, people, I think Young Thug used to be with the artist Rich Homie Quan. People say Rich Homie Quan fell off. No, Rich Homie Quan dodged a bullet. By him falling off or whatever people say, he dodged a bullet. What if he would have still been hanging around Young Thug? His name would have been in there. And you realize these folks it's some true wickedness. They say, we got to keep to the code. What code? There ain't no honor amongst thieves and criminals. Even the biggest gangsters told. They got in there and they had an opportunity to tell the truth. And you know what they did? They told the truth. Hey, I did this, but somebody shot even more people. I'm telling you, man, this stuff is not worth it. This stuff will jack up your life. Okay? When we talk about just using the example, a felony is a criminal offense punishable by at least 1 year in prison. When someone is charged with the felony, the crime typically involves an element of violence that is considered a threat to society. The laws of a particular state and the circumstances surrounding the case are two factors that have significant influence on whether the crime is charged as a felony or not. However, some criminal offenses are almost classified as felonies in most states. Okay, this includes violent crimes, homicide, first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter, robbery, and burglary. I'm telling you, all of these little beefs and stuff that people have is not worth it. It's not worth it. You sitting up, running up in the street, fighting over some woman, fighting over some man, it ain't worth it. Because the collateral consequences will humble you. Think about this. In the daytime, and when you think about robbery and burglary, people scroll social media all day long, look and being programmed and fed to be covetous, to think about what other people have. Man, they just got this, man, and my life ain't shaping up to be too much, and I'm gonna just go out and rob me somebody. Go out here and hit a lick. You didn't hit a lick for somebody that possibly might have a couple credit cards. People rarely carry cash. And you done jacked up your whole life because of this stuff. Serious sexual offenses, rape, child molestation, child pornography, human trafficking, drug crimes, manufacturing, distribution, sale. I tell you, man, I'm glad one thing that I realized I was bad at was selling drugs. I had a whole briefcase for a nickel bag of weed. I'm in the car looking crazy trying to get people like I'm some big kingpin. Why? Because I was listening to doggone foolish music. I'm listening to the Young Jeezy, Yo Gotti. I remember Crackhead said, man, why you got this little nickel bag in a doggone briefcase? This is crazy. I'm sitting up here thinking the feds is watching me over a $5 bag of weed, tripping. Glad I turned from that. I had just a little bit of logic back then, and I realized, hey, this ain't for me. This is not for me. Controlled substances, property crimes, arson, grand theft. You get in a heated argument. Oh, she stole my man. I'm gonna go burn her car up. Got it. Once your emotions subside and you in the back of that complete, you sitting in that cold cell and they got you eating that swine sandwich with the gristle in it. Collateral consequences. You come back to reality and realize, man, boy, I'm gonna miss out on. I got to appear before the judge on Monday. I'm supposed to be to work at 7:30 on Monday. Collateral consequences. You get up out of there, bond out. Hey, we had to let you go. Rent due. Now everything else follows. And malicious destruction of property. I'm telling you, you go tearing other people's stuff. I'm a slash this. And then you have to think Jasmine Sullivan had a song. I'm gonna bust the windows out his car. Destruction of property. Depending on how much damage you cause to somebody's property, man, these are felony charges. But you call yourself justified, and it's not until you facing them collateral consequences that you realize you done made some poor decisions. Man, shout out to the brother, the Covenant Homestead. He had a video he posted this week, and he was talking about we have to stop supporting the victim society, because you have people that are pretty much dealing with the collateral consequences of their own lawlessness. Nobody put a gun in your head and told you to do this stuff, but they always want to play the victim. Okay, here's another one. White collar crimes, embezzlement, fraud, tax evasion, identity theft, and misrepresentation. I'll tell you, man, when I chose to sell bootleg Jordans and shoes, pocketbooks, purses, CDs, DVDs, it wasn't because I didn't have clothes on my back. It wasn't because I didn't have a pair of shoes on my feet. It was because I had developed a covetous spirit. I saw what everybody else had in my environment, and I said, man, I got to do something to doggone get some of this stuff. You know, rather than going from place to place, filling out applications and continuing on in that, I chose to take a different path. And I'm thankful, all praise to the Most High Yah, I didn't have to deal with the collateral consequences because I was given, mercy was shown. I was doing all that stuff just to show I had some money, you know, just to be able to go to the mall and buy 2 for $89 shoes back in the day when they had it. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have, for he said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Man, the in high school, to buy my first car, man, I sold candy all the way from 9th grade to 11th grade. I remember when my brother came back from a deployment, I had a bankroll of money, and I said, man, I didn't took my driver's ed. I got my permit. I'm ready to go buy a car. Wasn't paying attention to nothing they were saying in there. I'm in there hustling Snickers. What you want? I got some Capri Suns. What you want? Some Kool-Aid Jammers. What you want? Not paying attention. Why? Behind a covetous spirit. My brother asked me, he said, man, where you get all this money from? He was stationed at Fort Bragg at the time. I said, man, I've been selling candy. So he was relieved to realize that, man, I wasn't, doing nothing else at that moment. He took me to find a little car. Man, that car didn't even make it to the house. I had saved up probably about $1,500 over the course of like 3 years of selling candy. Wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth it, especially behind having a covetous spirit. I was more worried about having name brand clothes in school, because that's what the public school system is. It's a fashion show. The spirit of covetousness dwells in that place. So I was more worried about coming to class looking fly and making some money selling candy than actually, I had a teacher there in marketing and actually tried to put some wisdom in us, give us some knowledge, some things that we could use in life, making a budget, don't take out debt. She was actually talking about that. What was I in the classroom doing? Selling candy. Collateral consequences. Be content with such things as you have, for he has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I had clothes on my back, had a roof over my head, had shoes on my feet. Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that have gathered by labor shall increase. Man, come on. Come on. Wealth gotten through worthless means. Why do you think they make documentaries? Why do you think all of these kingpins and drug dealers and drug queens, they come out making documentaries how to then turn their life around? Because they all take a fall. But when they in the midst of it, oh man, they living great. They living great, evading the law. And now I'm gonna talk about some of these collateral consequences. If you make some of these choices and get yourself and become a convicted felon, it is hell and high water. And I'm gonna mention some terms that a lot of people don't understand it. I can't encourage you enough to labor in a righteous manner. In a righteous manner, to not violate the laws of the Most High Yah, and then these laws of the land, because there are some laws when it comes to thieving and stuff like that. You in violation of Torah and the laws of the land. Ecclesiasticus chapter 4, verse 22. Accept no person against thy soul, and let not the reverence of many man cause thee to fall. So this is what happened when you idolize rappers, strippers, people of dysfunction. You idolize them, and reverence, respect. Let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. You listen to this stuff they talking about. Here you are busting the windows out somebody's car. Here you are trying to sell dope and drugs. But you looked up to these people. Accept no person against thy soul. Romans chapter 3, verse 1 through 2. Let every soul be subject unto higher powers. I think in the NLT it says government. The KJV says higher powers. For there is no power but of Yah. The powers that be are ordained of Yah. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Collateral consequences. You then went out and cut a fool and went against what you know you should be doing, stuff that's against your conscience, and you thought he was going to make an exception to the rule, and you have to live with the collateral consequences. You got to understand, some of this stuff, you don't get another chance. You don't get back. If you do all these drugs and damage your whole teeth, you're not getting another set of teeth. Them the collateral consequences. You got to walk around with the yuck mouth unless you go get you some of them Halloween teeth. Okay. Civil death. A lot of people don't know about this, but the collateral consequences, if you go out and get a felony, doing something you have no business doing, there's a term called civil death. It's a noun. It says the status of a living person equivalent in its legal consequences to natural death. You living, but to the system, you are dead. They cut you off. This is why people, you see people after they get out, they be trying to advocate and say how hard it is. And when you look at some of the crime, people don't understand. I didn't understand how easy it is to get a felony, until I was in recruiting and had to deal with, going down to the police station, going down to the sheriff's department, pulling background reports. And you look at some of this stuff, you stealing money as a cashier. You steal $1 over a certain amount, it goes from a misdemeanor to a felony. And you will be civilly dead. You a living person, and it is the equivalent in illegal consequences to natural death. Okay, there is a Latin word called civitate mortis. Civitate mortis. Okay, and this is for civil death. Is the loss of all or almost all civil rights by a person due to a conviction for a felony or due to an act by the government of a country that results in the loss of civil rights. What does civilly dead mean? Dead in the view of the law. So when you see these, when you go to my other channel, The Lawless Explodes, and you see these people getting hemmed up, and the police realize they have a record, and you get caught up again, and these people talking about they violating my civil rights, and you already a felon, you don't have no civil rights. You're dead to them. You breathing, you living, but you are dead to their system. The condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacity and is accounted dead in the law. What rights you got? If they already got a category to put you in to show you that they're not dealing with you. The meaning of collateral damage is injury inflicted on something or other than the intended target. So here we go. Let's look at this. You choose to get out and fornicate. As a man or a woman, you get pregnant or get somebody pregnant. Your goal going in there was to fulfill the lust of your flesh. Now you 13, 14 as a young man or a young woman, and the collateral damage is you a child forced to raise a child. Or if you look at the many options of this system to do something with it, to dispose of it, because you don't want to face the collateral consequences of being a young man, 14, 15, having to deal with a baby. You know, as a young woman having to deal with this baby on your hip when your mind is you want to be in them streets. Collateral damage is injury inflicted on something other than an intended target. Romans chapter 2, verse 5 through 6. But after thy hardness and impotent heart, treasures up against thyself wrath against the day of wrath and the revelation of the righteous judgment of the Most High, who will render to every man according to his deeds. You can fight it all you want. You got people that's made, especially Israelite. You got people that have made ignorant choices in their life. Nobody put a gun to your head, and you think somebody out to get you. You think what a white man, they want this. No, you did that. You see them talking about I grew up in church and I don't know why they out to get me. No, it's your own choices. Now you are forced to live with the collateral consequences of lawlessness. And a lot of what you see people going through, you have to think about what if you don't have faith, you haven't found truth. Think about all the people that come up out of jail angry, and they ain't angry at themselves. They're angry at the system. Because you didn't fall into a snare, and the Most High done told you that there will be snares set for Israel. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 8. Set not thine heart upon goods unjustly gotten, for they shall not profit thee in the day of calamity. Listen to what I'm saying. You sitting out here coveting after this stuff, and you would do anything to get it. Listen to me. As a man, you don't want to fulfill the righteous duty to a woman. So what do? You go out and commit adultery and try to target. There's men out there that target married women. There are women out there that target married men because you don't want to fulfill the duty. But when you get yourself hemmed up and got to face these collateral consequences, don't think just because you've forgiven, you don't have to deal with them consequences. What if you get shot up in the process, going in there being an adulterer? Somebody shoot you the heck up. You still gonna have to deal with them bullet holes. You still gonna have to go through being up in the hospital and them trying to stop the bleeding, being on life support. Them wounds that heal up and have scar tissue is a reminder of the collateral consequences. In the last days, this stuff is turning up even more. Okay? The collateral consequences of being a convicted felon. Man, it's crazy because when you're in there, a lot of people don't know about the industrial prison complex and how the Constitution supports it. And then when I told you about civilitas mortis, about you being dead legally, this is how they treat you. You get out, don't expect a whole bunch of people to give you a job because they got that box on there. And it don't matter whether, and people try to tell their story and say, well, I was a cashier and, I stole $501. That $1 difference over 500 doesn't make them, they looking at you as you legally dead. We ain't giving you no job because you did that. What if you don't steal from us? And you be in there. I found Islam. I found Christianity. I found Catholicism. Denied. And they never call you back. And you have to think, even in the word, the Most High Yah gives you an instruction. Some of these people, it's like, even if you tried to start something of your own, you're not even in a position to do it because they don't even acknowledge you. Man, I can't tell you how many people, when I was an Army recruiter, would come in the Army recruiting station and they say, man, I want to join for infantry. It's not common that somebody just comes in and is eager to want to join infantry, to be a gunfighter. Normally you have those who, okay, their grandfather might have been forced recon, their father, their actual father might have been infantry, and there's a legacy of that, and that's their story of why. But when somebody come in and want to be infantry or special forces or do something that people don't want to do, we used to have this look where we would pretty much look at somebody else and another recruiter and say, let's run that background check. Run that background check and come back a convicted felon. And we had to say, hey, we can't help you. That's just the policy. But you have to think, you are legally dead. Run for public office. Say, for instance, you sold all these drugs in your city and got caught up. And you say, you know what? I want to make a difference in my community. The system is set up to where you ain't finna run for no public office. Anything that is a position of trust, even if you have been born again and delivered and are trustworthy and walking in righteousness, you ain't finna run for no public office in community. Housing. Man, I didn't even know until I started putting this Sabbath Day teaching together, and the Most High Yah saying, look in certain areas. I didn't even know that it is hard for a convicted felon to even get a lease, to even get an apartment. It don't matter if you got the money or not. It is hard. And now when you think about this, this is why when you see these people doing interviews of homeless people on the street and sometimes they're felons, you have to think about this. You are legally dead to them. And these are the people that be wanting them to change all these things. But at what point will you advocate for making better choices? And guess what? In most places, as a convicted felon, you cannot get housing assistance. You lose it's almost like you lose your doggone status and privilege as a citizen. You become sovereign and not in a good way. You'll struggle getting an apartment. And I'm gonna talk about some of these other housing things. Parenting rights, limited child visitation. You a convicted felon. Some of these states, a majority of these states, if you go in and get convicted with a felon and you have a child before you get convicted with it, don't be surprised if your child visitation has changed. Now you got to have supervised visitation. You, like I said, as an example, as a cash register, you stole $1 over $501. Now you categorize as a convicted felon. Imagine that. And if you got somebody that already don't want you, your co-parenting is rough, and they go after this, now you got to have supervised visits. You cannot adopt a child or be a foster parent. Voting. They don't, if you go out and do something that you have no business doing, you're not even going to be able to you can't even go to the poll to give your opinion. That's what the word poll means. They're doing a survey to get your opinion. You can't even give your opinion don't even matter. Getting a professional license. See, what they do is when you're in there, they give you all these, they let you go to these schools and do all this to keep you from in there, from tearing the place up, They teach you to do something constructive. That's so you don't tear the place up. But once you get out, you're going to realize that you have not been really given a professional license. You've been given a certificate. And you go to try to be an electrician, try to do all these stuff. You can't even get a professional license because on the application with the state, bam, they got that question again. Right to bear a firearm. Most of y'all say if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and get one. That's about all you can get is a sword. You're gonna bring a knife to a gunfight. That's the furthest extent you can do. And you see how you lost your Second Amendment right, your natural right to bear arms, your Second Amendment right to bear a firearm. You can't even do it. Free education. You get out and say, man, my testimony is I was X, Y, and Z. Now I just want to get my education. You ain't getting no FAFSA. You ain't getting no tuition assistance. A lot of young people do not realize this, and I've seen this stuff firsthand. There's young men and women walking around convicted felons, and there is not a look that you can say, oh man, that man or woman look like a convicted felon. You can't tell. It's happening so young these days. People 17, 16 being tried as an adult. Ineligibility for welfare. You can't even get no government cheese. You can't get WIC. Like you have a rare percentage of people that are able to get there after a certain amount of time and showing there's states out there to where you can get it overturned, but it is a process. Most people in that process, man, they return to their former way of life. Why? Because they don't want the long suffering of the collateral consequences of lawlessness. Getting a bank account. Man, most of these places where you work, they want you to have a bank account so you can get the direct deposit. They don't even do a check or cash payroll no more. These banks won't even give you majority of banks when you fill that out and they ask you that question and you check yes, you can't even get a bank account. Obtaining credit. There's people out there jacking their life up well before they need it. It's not until you are in this walk with the Most High Yah that you realize you can live without credit. But well before you enter that walk, you don't know nothing about that. Purchasing a house. As a convicted felon, you can't even go through the process of purchasing a house. Like there's so much red tape. And now you see why it says you're legally dead. Ability to serve on a jury. We don't care how trustworthy you was. You stole $1 too many. You can't even serve on a jury. Owning a dog in Illinois. In Illinois, they got a law to where if you own a puppy under 12 weeks, you in violation of Illinois law. Here's another one. You was in prison. You learned how to cut. You convicted felon. You learned how to cut hair. Got a little certificate from jail. I was a barber in there. You ain't finna be no barber when you get out in some states. Collateral consequences. And you think about being a barber, that's a cash business. So you might say, well, I know I can go do that because I can cut it. Nope. Public health care benefits. You are legally dead. Okay. When we think about this is why I say, man, there's so many snares out there that Israel fell into biblically. And nowadays, in the last days, this stuff is even going to be even higher. Okay. Racial disparities in the criminal justice system exist across all socioeconomic groups. For example, in 2021, Black Americans were imprisoned at 5 times the rate of Caucasian people or white people, while American Indians and Latino people were imprisoned at 4 to 2 times and 2 to 2.4 times the white rate, respectively. In 2019, Black people in New York State had a conviction rate that was 3.1 times higher than white people relative to their representation in the population. Think about this, man. when we was in Egypt, when the Israelites was in Egypt, they fell to all of the ways of Egypt, all of the lawless ways. When you think about the term Hellenistic Jews, some of these people are cutting, when you see these celebrities telling you that they cut a deal with the heathen, you wonder why, okay, how come you're seeing the Israelites get hung up, get caught up? The snare was set for you. These heathens will let themselves, they'll navigate and get off. You ain't getting off. I'm telling you, you better think about this opportunity you have. Let go of some of this, let go of this covetous spirit, this, this vanity. Man, I posted a video today on the channel where in Atlanta, all of these people was outside of a beauty supply store, that had got evicted, and the police pretty much had to take this stuff and take it to a city dump. And these people was willing to go to the city dump to go get these wigs, this hair, it's crazy. And they had to pretty much put a barrier around this. Look what we're focused on. Look what we're focused on. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 9 through 11. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Man, on my other channel, The Lawless Exposed. If you don't know, go check that channel out. But it is a faceless YouTube channel where I pretty much just post body cam footage, of Israelites getting caught up. So you can understand that when the word says that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord, even when people are forced and held accountable to the law, they still don't want to hear it. Still don't want to hear it and go out fighting. Verse 10, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. This is why when you desire this, there is no deliverance, there is no healing, and there is no preparedness, no readiness. You're constantly falling into snares because you gravitate towards people that tickle your ears. There's people out there in religion that don't want the truth. They want lies, and they go wherever they can get it. You got to think, man, let's break this down. If you love fornicating, you're going to want to go to somebody that teaches fornication is okay. And out of all these different, they all point to something and say it's done away with. So you're going to go to the pastor that ain't married, that don't meet the qualifications, and it teaches that fornication is allowed with. You want to be prophesied deceit. You want to hear smooth things. You want to gravitate to the person that's going to tell you they're going to say it's the best way to sell street drugs. You're going to gravitate towards that person. That's how you get caught up. This stuff is a snare for your soul. This stuff's so bad. This stuff is so bad. Think about a sheriff being somebody that's supposed to help enforce the law. Listen to this. The first of 17 Broward County Sheriff's Office employees, they was all Israelite, all African Americans, to face trial on charges of bilking a business loan program during the pandemic, was found guilty Tuesday morning committing fraud by a Fort Lauderdale federal court jury. This is in Florida. This is PPP loan scams. Even the sheriffs, 17 of them. You can go look this up and you see, imagine your coworkers having to put you in handcuffs because you didn't fell into a snare of PPP loan scams. Look at how many Israelites got caught up in PPP loan scams. All you heard was free money. You filled out the application, then none of these people look at the prerequisites that you had to meet. And once they came back looking to collect their money to see if you met those prerequisites or you did, think about it. It's a snare. Go look up how much money the Roman Catholic Church got, but they already in the system. I told you, the heathens are going to allow a way for themselves out. but it's going to be a snare for your ass. Okay, when you look at the Black Lives Matter activists, this is 3 lesbian women, African American women. You know what they got caught for? Pretty much scamming and frauding people. And they used this money where people was, you saw this stuff flooding the internet. They was being perceived as a charitable organization, taking your money and living lavish off of it. Scamming. More and more people are getting, more and more men and women are getting caught scamming in the last days. Stealing credit cards. You thought it was petty theft. And now, based upon you didn't charge so many, you got to think about it. They can get you for, if they can provide, if they can get a credit card statement showing how many charges you have tried to go, even if they was denied, and it amounts to a certain amount, that's a felony. You can say, but not none of them charges went through. The card was bad. Felony, multiple counts. If you got multiple cards. Let's keep going. Let's see. There's another one. Look up the trucking guru. Look up the trucking guru. This is a convicted felon that pretty much started this movement of trying to teach people how to be millionaire truckers. But some of this stuff, it don't add up. When you look at the track record, convicted felon, had a record of scamming, uses this trucking, because that's a career path a lot of people get into after that. Okay. And she was scamming more Black people, saying, hey, if you give me some money, you can invest your money with me and I'm gonna buy these trucks and you'll own part of my business. Only one problem with it. She wasn't buying trucks. She was living lavish, getting evicted out of mansions. People are getting caught up. When you look at it, let's see, the Dalton County mayor under federal investigation. This is an Israelite woman pretty much spent $45,000 on Amazon purchases in one day. Instead of going to city meetings, these jokers is they're gonna give they'll put you in a position of power, but if your mind ain't right and you abuse it, you're gonna get caught up, facing multiple felonies. Imagine going from a position of trust, you then went and got all this education, and all you had to do is abide by the rules. All that status is not gonna save you. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of deceitful works behind as you get around people that get away with it. And you say, man, boy, these jokers got away with it. I need to learn from them. You have to be careful of this as a youngster, getting around the old dude that seems like he didn't lead a life of lawlessness and got away with it. That's just a snare for you to be motivated to follow in them footsteps. How's the time put these people around you? And these people don't do nothing but tell you about the pleasure they had. It's the same thing. If you get around older woman who is an harlot, she gonna tell you to oh yeah, you can do it too. And next thing you know, you stressed out about to pull your hair out, then lay it down and had all these babies with these Johns and these tricks. Collateral consequences. You gonna have to deal with it. You on Facebook, everybody else taking trips and doing this, and you didn't call another shot. You didn't left your baby at home to go to Miami. This stuff is real. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. Know you not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah? Be not deceived, nor fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, neither thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of Yah. When you think about effeminate, soft to the touch, man with the spirit of a woman, Greek word 31:20. Most High y'all don't want you in his kingdom. He tells you he ain't making no exception for you. And you have to think, here's the thing. Now, I don't wish evil on nobody, I don't wish harm on nobody. But a lot of times these people try to play victims because you put yourself in a position to wear a size 13 shoe, want to wear a size 9 high heel, have your big toe hanging all off the side, 6'2", and you a victim because somebody then jumped you in an alleyway and skeeted all on you. They done something perverted to you. You got to think about it. The collateral consequences of your choices. Think about that. There's a lot of men out there with them testimonies. You choose to be a streetwalker, a street harlot, dressed in the attire of a harlot, like Proverbs 7 says. You get in one of the cars with the John. You living in lawlessness. You living in transgression. You get in a car with one of these jokers trying to turn you a little trick, and all of a sudden you a victim when he do something crazy to you. No, you was taking part in lawlessness. And now you've experienced the collateral consequences. Telling you, man, you better turn and seek his face in these last days. Reviler, someone who speaks abusively or contemptuously of another person or thing. Extortioner is someone who uses force, threats, or authority to take money or something else from another person. Let me tell you something. That's a lot of people who don't have a criminal record in this land, and they think they've gotten away with this stuff scot-free because the Most High Yah has postponed judgment. But he gonna execute it one day, and they gonna find out the hard way. You ain't getting away with nothing. This system, especially for Israelites, you ain't getting away for nothing. All of this stuff, they got so many different scams and stuff out right now. You don't know at certain ages, certain things is gonna hit you a little bit harder. Covetous, being jealous. What if you got bad company around you and they say, hey man, I got these you see somebody that's always got the latest and the greatest. Man, how you always buying new Jordans? Man, how you got the rims on the car? Like, what are you doing? And they pull you in. That's that bad company. Well, hey, I can't tell nobody this. Can I trust you? They make an agreement with you. Pull you in. Well, I'm getting this stuff because I got this credit cards and some of them don't have no limits. You can buy whatever you want. Here you are. You like, man, I want in on it. You try to reason through it. How long you been doing it? Man, I've been doing it for like a year and got away with it. Man, nobody looking for this. This is how it all start. You want me to put you down? I can make you down. No, I ain't gonna make you down. I got that. No, I can't trust you. Can I trust you? All of these kind of, you see what I'm saying? If you was just walking straight, you didn't have to worry about this. You get these you 17 years old, get these little credit cards. You go into the store, buying all these doggone gift cards like it's normal. Here you are, you get pulled over for a speeding ticket. Police officer knows something a little off and realize you got this doggone credit cards in other people's names. Felony, off the rip. And you can check it out on my other channel, The Lawless Exposed. These stories don't be adding up. Well, it's my grandma's friend credit card, and they loaned it to me. Their stories don't never be adding up. You in possession of a credit card that ain't yours, and you don't even know the damn name on the card. You catching that felony. All of them collateral consequences that I talked about today, you about to face. It's so many different snares out there. You have to look at people don't understand. The power is in the pen. The power is in the pen. Hasatan don't even have to put a gun to your head to get you to go steal. All he has to do, you got to look in some of these states like California. There's a couple states to where if you walk into a business establishment, They have laws to where they can't chase you. They have to let you go. What does that mean? Now you see all of the Israelites in Walmart stealing, running out, and don't even put a mask on no more. Running out with bundles of hair from the beauty supply store, and you don't even have your face covered. This is a snare. But you have to be wise enough not to fall into it. This stuff is in, the power is in the pen. You have to think, if you go to the wrong, you eat off the wrong table where these people are teaching the doctrine of the translators. If these people is teaching Trinity, rapture, and you don't have the wisdom to discern oh no, this stuff ain't right. The book don't say this. They setting a snare for your soul because they got you distracted. The word says the penmanship of the scribe is in vain. The power is in the pen. You thought the power was in the gun. No, the power is in the pen. When they filling out that paperwork, the petitioner and all of this, the pursuance and putting these and sign, when they sign that, you legally dead to them. I'm telling you, man, if you have an opportunity to walk straight, you better not abuse it, because you got to think, the man that was picking up sticks on the Sabbath, judgment was executed in a fast manner. What should we do with this man? Put him to death. You got to think, most people don't even understand how much mercy is being shown to them while they profaning the Sabbath. How much mercy? Why? Because they following the doctrine of King Antiochus' religion, of Baal worship. Most High Yah is sparing you. But there will be some collateral consequences. You didn't participated in all this type of worship, so-called religion. And you get the doggone judgment that he tells you to part ways, for I never knew you. You've been a worker of lawlessness. This is your collateral consequences. Think about the man-time judgments and the people that was outside knocking on the gate. You was close to getting in. You was close. Most High Yah is not a respecter of person. You think if he make an exception for you, he got to make an exception for everybody else, and he ain't finna do it, because that relaxes the standard. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Get understanding. Man, I tell you, in my younger days, one thing, I wish I would have done was just simply pick the brains more of older people. Even just growing up with my grandparents and their friends and the older people in my family, they always had great testimony. Some of them weren't even rooted in truth, but you could learn so much from what they thought they could get away with. And then through age, they realized you ain't getting away with nothing. You ain't getting away with nothing. Man, let me give you some example. In Ecclesiastes, let me pull this up. Let me give you an example of some collateral consequences, so people know you might be getting away with it behind closed doors, but you ain't getting away with it. Hold on, let me find this. I'm going to Ecclesiastes. Let's see. Where is this at? We're going to get in here. Let's see. Let me find this thing. Which one is that? Here we go. Ecclesiastes chapter 25, verse 25 through 26. So the collateral consequences, you got a covering, you got a head trying to wash you with the word, and you don't want to listen. Let's read. Give water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to go abroad. If she goes not as you would have her, cut her off from your flesh. 1, give her a seeper of divorce and let her go. There's collateral consequence. I don't know why he had to leave me. I don't know how I'm out here. Collateral consequences. Collateral consequences. It's the same thing. If you sitting out here, I'm trying the best that I can to provide for my family, and you got rims on the car, got all this foolishness. Your kids don't have no clothes on their back, ain't no fruit in the refrigerator, and you want to live your life. There's collateral consequences to it. There's collateral consequences. You on your job, you have to think about how many police officers get caught stealing drugs, stealing money out. You in a position of trust, and you get caught. Guess what? If you're an Israelite, you making the news. You are making the news. They're going to expose you. They ain't exposing nobody else. Some people call it the good old boy system. It's nothing for you to partake in, because you'll realize you ain't a part of that system. You ain't a part of it. You're going to get caught. Sneaking out the house. Your parents locked the doors, got the alarm set, and in your mind, you doggone 17, think you know how to navigate these streets, and next thing you know, you done got pulled over outside the house late night in your car. I had a little stick shift. I would pretty much not crank the car up until I had coasted down the street. I could coast about a half a mile in my little stick shift. Man, I remember catching I ended up having car problems. I told you the car wasn't number $1,500. I ended up catching a flat tire and having car problems. One night I wasn't supposed to be out in the house. Luckily, I had a little money. I called a tow truck, and it was some shaky stuff. I was like, boy, woo, collateral consequences of disobedience. I'm telling you, you might not face the spiritual consequences of your choices, immediately. But as a man, if you out here going against the word of the Most High Yah and what lead the daughters of Zion alone. If you don't want to fulfill a biblical duty to them, leave them alone. It's more people out there telling you, well, you can do it this way and get away. You ain't getting away with it. You can wear all the condoms you want, but somebody gonna get pregnant. You're gonna be made the example of. Man, I don't know why I got to deal with this, man. She crazy, man. Baby mama crazy. Hey, if you would have fulfilled a duty, you wouldn't have to worry about that. You was looking for booty, not to fulfill a duty. Same thing, daughters of Zion. Don't sit out here and fulfill the lust, because you're going to have to deal with the collateral consequence. Man, there's videos of women out there talking about how they don't want to be mothers. You got 2 and 3 children in the house, and they just flat out don't want to be mothers. And when you look at where the father at, well, one in prison, one over here, one over there. Like, come on. I'm telling you, these are the collateral consequences. Here's another one. The collateral consequences of this food. Everybody want to talk about they playing with the food, playing with this and playing with that, and this lab meat. You're going to have to deal with the collateral consequences if you're not willing to do what the book says. You got to think, one thing they really don't have to clone is pork. It's swine. It's already defiled. It's already unclean, already parasitic, and they already reproduce like no tomorrow. And then people going to complain. Let them come out with some lab pork. Oh, they complain this pork bad, like the rest of the pork good. Collateral consequences. I'm telling you, the FDA is a for-profit organization. If you don't want to face these collateral consequences, you're going to have to be your own Food and Drug Administration. Man, I got this stomach symptom. They gave me this medication. Medication been known, it's passed by the FDA, but it's known to cause cancer. That's collateral consequences. Better start reading these labels. You're going to start growing a tail, growing an extra pinky toe. Can't reproduce. These are the collateral consequences people is having to deal with. Man, just got this book right here, Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. I heard somebody else mention it. I said, I'm going to check this out. I'm going to check it out, see what's in here. But the book tells us, if you take care of this land will provide for you. This land will provide for you. Man, we didn't put ourselves in such a position and living so foul that we can't even drink the water that the Most High Yah put here is clean. Can't even do it because we choose to live dirty in such a filthy manner. Now the stuff that they put in the bottles, they telling you, yep, this stuff causes cancer too. How many people you see actively trying to say, you know what, let me figure out how to get a well. Well costs about you looking at like 15 to $22,000 to get a well. You focused on Jordans. You focused on Mac makeup. You focused on a handbag. There's gonna be some collateral consequences of your choices. Man, you eating fruits and vegetables from the grocery store. You know that they playing with the food, and this stuff, it looked like fruit, it looked like it's nutrient dense. Stuff don't have not one calorie in it, not one vitamin in it. Most of y'all told you to plant you gardens. Plant you gardens. You wonder why most people can't fix nothing on a house, because they went against the word. If you was to build you a house, build you houses, plant you garden, you would know what the source is. I know I put that stud right over there. I know that one's right there, 16 inches on center. I know I got a double top plate on this. And I know that there's probably ain't no insulation on that drywall on that side. This is why this room is this is the why you had to call somebody else to fit. This is the collateral consequences of not following the book. We can take this so many different directions, and it's all gonna come out with some collateral consequences if you're violating the precepts of the Most High. It's that simple. Proverbs 4:7, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get an understanding. You know, if you're somebody that's born again, walking in truth, man, you still might be dealing with some collateral consequences. But when you have a spiritual understanding of how things are, you will have some peace in your tribulation. You may have to, if you didn't lay down and made some bad choices sexually, you're going to have to deal with that. But at least you'll have peace to be able to say, okay, you know what? I know that this spiritual warfare is coming based upon the choices that I made. You will start praying for these people to get their life right rather than them getting on your nerves, because if they find the truth and they seek his face, that's going to be the end of them problems. Telling you, I can't stress this enough. You know, there's people out there with a testimony that don't share it, that have been spared, merciful. I want you to think about how many people got the shot and lost their life, collateral consequences. They told you you wouldn't get sick. You got sick with the very same thing that the shot was supposed to stop you from. Collateral consequences. Collateral consequences. You know, nowadays they got so many laws that don't state laws don't match federal laws, so much stuff, and you think you can get away with it, but no, you didn't call it a felony according to the state. Doesn't it say you destroyed for a lack of knowledge? Think about this. If you don't get, if you just let, if you in Christianity or Catholicism, and you let somebody navigate you through the book rather than reading above and below of what they talking about, and you go back, you let somebody tell you what's in the book instead of using common sense and basic comprehension, and you get it wrong at the end of the day, whose fault is that? That's your fault. The book actually says study to show yourself approved. It's not study with somebody to let them show you approved. No, study to show the onus is on you. You know, to think spiritually is to think about the righteousness of the Most High Yah in your lifestyle before you go out and do some stuff. Before you go out here and get yourself into a snare. See, if it's something you want and you want to sound like you walking in truth, then you will put all this on it and make it sound good and then seek it out. If it's got a lot of pain associated with it. But if it's something your flesh lust after, chances are you don't seek out the Most High Yah and his wisdom, because he tell you not to follow the lust of your flesh. And then after you face, that's why I said, and when it comes to sexual immorality, fornication, first comes pleasure, then comes pain. First, Hasatan is real good at releasing dopamine. The chemical, the feel good chemical. So you just keep on fornicating, keep on fornicating. You go to the clinic, find out you got something. Oh, you in there praying, oh, don't let it be AIDS. Oh, don't let it be this. Oh, don't let it be this. And if you do it, I ain't gonna do it no more. Go right back out there and do it. See, you don't get to determine the consequences of your lawlessness. Because the Most High Yah is going to use somebody that was perfect to judge, to issue judgment. Somebody that didn't fall into the snares of this world, the snares of Hasatan. You got to think. Some people get hit with in their lungs. They get hit with chlamydia. They get hit with syphilis. They get hit with this stuff, and they got all kind of new stuff out now. And then you got somebody first go around of lawlessness catch HIV. And that's to ensure that you know it's a wide range of stuff that could happen to you. All of these plagues. You read Deuteronomy 28. Hey, it's blessings for obedience and curses for obedience, for disobedience. And all of these plagues will be added unto you if you disobey his word. And them times where you don't face it, man, people don't even give him glory for sparing them through their foolishness. Should be thanking the Most High Yah for the stuff that he spared you through, shown mercy when he could have just executed judgment. You picking up a stick on the Shabbat. It's that real. In the last days, man, Hasatan is truly putting overtime and trying to get, he wants all the Israelites Hellenistic. That's what he wants, to cut a covenant with the heathen like they did in the Maccabean period. He wants you doing everything the heathens do because they don't serve the Most High. And you fall into these snares. And that's why you make front lines all the time. Everybody else then got caught on your job and got fired. But you made headlines. You the talk of the doggone job. Leave this stuff alone. I can't tell you enough. Man, let's go to the comments. Let's see who we got in here. Shabbat Shalom to all in the comments. We got, let's see, Nathaniel Nelson. Shabbat Shalom. Favor and Mercy. A410 500C. Shabbat Shalom. The Covenant Homestead. We got Jay is Real. Gave strong arms. Let's see. Jay is Real said, ooh wee. Jay is Real said, cutting me up, brother. Exactly how I used to think. McCoy White. Shabbat Shalom. Man, I thank all y'all for tuning in, to today's Shabbat message. And I'm definitely give all praise to the Most High Yah for even, opening my eyes to be able to see things in this spiritual perspective and how to articulate it back to those that may not see, may be in darkness, and hoping this serves as a reminder so you can choose the path of righteousness before you hit rock bottom. Man, there's nothing better than a testimony of somebody that heard the testimony of somebody else and decided to choose the Most High Yah and his will rather than choosing it, at the last minute of their bad choices. And no matter what choices, you can be born again, saved, and all of this, baptized. But some of these choices that we make in life, you are going to be forced to live with. You bring a baby into this world and it is painful and you did it outside of the will of Yah. I want you to understand there is no deliverance to make that pain go away. No, the only thing that's going to help you is gaining understanding and knowing that, okay, now I have some understanding so I don't redo this same thing again. Some of this stuff, you go out here and get, somebody can lay hands on it. If y'all have an agreement, you can be delivered. Some of this stuff doesn't work like that because of the choice that you decided to make. Let me break this down. When you look at, I'm just using this as an example, because when you think about people sacrificing kids, think about this. You have Magic Johnson, HIV, comes back undetectable. Look at the way his son turned out. Even on the other side, even on the side of wickedness, something has to be sacrificed. If you go back and watch these videos, you don't hear him talking about the Most High Yah, and he didn't get with no Dr. Sebi or nothing like that. Nobody that was walking in truth. All you heard is come back undetectable. There is no testimony of righteousness. Son turns out the way. He does. Think about that. Something has to get sacrificed, even in wickedness. Even in when you look at the people that do tarot reading and witchcraft, man, they are sacrificing something, and there's consequences that come with those actions and those choices. Man, I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Shabbat shalom. Welcome to Be Better LLC. Shabbat shalom. May you guys have a blessed day and find a good rest on this Shabbat. Closer to Yah Ministries, kicking that thing gun barrel straight. Bow.